Hi there and welcome to Adobe Creative Club. This is episode number 10. We've reached double figures and we have got a really fun activity for this week's session. Now, I know I say that all the time, but I really mean it. This one is going to be a blast. In this session, we are going to use Adobe Express to hand paint and animate our very own Seascape, something like this. Now, I'm sure you agree, that looks pretty cool. So why don't we jump into Adobe Express so we can get cracking. Right then, here we go. So I've got Express loaded up. Here I am on the home screen. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to start painting some elements for our animation. So let's start off with our background first of all. Now then, to do some drawing in Animate, you need on the home page to find this button, Drawing. Okay, so we're just going to click on Create from Scratch there. And it's going to open up the Drawing mini app within Adobe Express, which is brand new and a lot of fun. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to have our kind of our end of the day. The sun's going down, the sun is setting. So we want that kind of late afternoon sky, and then we want the sea underneath. So we're going to split it about halfway. Okay, so let's start off with a yellow for the bottom strip of sky. Okay, so I'm going to grab this yellow color from the suggested palette here. And then I'm going to go into art supplies. Now, most of the brushes we're going to use for this whole session are from the art supplies brush collection. And I'm going to start off with the French Impressionist. And this is the one I'm going to use most of all for this. So I'm going to keep my brush size quite small just to draw roughly halfway across a straight-ish yellow line. There we go. So that's just giving us kind of our horizon there, okay? So now I'm going to whack the brush right up and I'm going to, oops, there we are. So you'll see, you know, it's difficult to know how big the brush is going to be until you've actually painted it. So I can just undo that and start again. Right, here we go. So I'm just going to brush quite roughly across like that. And then I'm going to bring the brush size down again just to tidy up. I want to hide this kind of gap between my thin line and my thick line. So I'm just going to fill that in. Now, we'd only have to do this first time with the sky. We may have to do something similar with the sea later on. Okay, cool. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to swap brush and I'm going to go over to this orange color. Sorry, I'm not swapping brush. I'm just swapping paint color. So I've gone over to this orange color and I'm gonna bring my brush size back up, maybe not all the way this time. And I'm gonna, here we go, I'm gonna just paint across. Cool. And what I'm doing is, I don't want to see much of that kind of white canvas at all on my design. So I'm making sure that I'm going over the bits which have got a lot of white canvas on them. There we are. Okay, cool. Now let's go for a pale red or a light red. So I'm just going to grab this dark red and I'm going to change it. So I'm going to choose the dark red. Then I'm going to click in here to mix my own color. Go to custom. I'm just going to bring it up. There we go. So I'm kind of going for this. I don't know what kind of color that is. Do you know? What would you call that? A dark pink, or is it a terracotta maybe? Ooh, look at me. Terracotta. No. Well then, I'm just doing the same. You see I'm layering that over the orange and I'm going to fill in right to the top of the design here. I don't want any white to be visible up at the top. And now I'm ready for my darkest shade of red. So I'll choose this one. Do you know what? I may even mix a darker shade again. So I'll go into custom and then let's bring it down there. Brilliant. And now I'm going to go right to the very top and add in that strip of darkest red. Cool. So we've kind of got this kind of gradient between the colors. Okay, now to help that to blend even further, I'm going to change brush. So I'm going to go into the art supplies collection again, and I'm going to use the spatter brush this time. Okay, and I'm going to put that right up at the bigger size, and I'm just going to spatter some of that across. I'm going to roughly mix back to my light red terracotta shade, and I'm going to spatter that across. Orange and yellow are here already, so I'll choose my orange, spatter, and then my yellow. Cool. There we go. Right, now then, the sea. Let's go for this. This is going to be easier because I'm just going to use one shade for the whole sea. So again, I'm going to use a smaller brush just to give me... Oh, sorry, I'm on the spatter paint brush here. Let's undo that. Let's go back to our French impressionist. There we go. And yeah, I'll use a smaller brush, and I'm just going to... I want that edge between the sky and the sea, the horizon, to be neat-ish. There we go. Lovely. And now I'm going to crank that brush up to full size. I'll start at the bottom, and here we go. I'm just filling that in now. Okay. And again, we don't want to have too much white space going on. So I'll bring my brush size down again, because you can see that I've got this kind of strip of white here. So I'm going to just fill that in. There we go. We are getting there now, guys. Cool. Now, maybe you want to get a bit darker down towards the bottom of the sea. So, you know, we could mix a custom darker blue and bring that brush up, and we could just do a bit of it like this. How's that? I think that looks fab. Same again, we're going to swap over to the spatter. So art supplies, spatter, and I'm going to stick with this dark blue, and I'm just going to spatter across. Oh, let's get that brush massive. All right, let's crank that up. Let's start over on the right hand side. Yes. And now let's go back to the original shade of blue. Okay, and like this. Lovely. And maybe a bit spattering up. Ooh, not that much. Onto the sky, because the sea is a bit wild. There we go. And then let's grab some white. Just adding texture. Oh, it looks amazing, doesn't it? This new drawing app is so cool. And I'm going to finally add some light grey. So I'll choose the grey that's here, go to custom, and then I'm just going to come up the left-hand side of the colour square there. And there we go. Okay, that's my background done. So let's get that over into our animation project. So to do that, I need to download this. So we're going to do a lot of bouncing down and up today. Okay, it's going to be like a basketball here. So everything we create in the drawing app, we have to download as a PNG and then upload into our actual animation project. So let's just download it. So top right, I'm going to click on the download button. Now in the drawing app, there's no options. Okay, it's just PNG, nothing else. So I just click download. That's going to download that to my downloads folder on my computer. Okay, so it depends what device you're using, where that's going to be. All right, so now let's just call this C background. Okay. And I'm going to click now on the Adobe Express icon, take me back to the dashboard. And on the dashboard now, we're going to start a standard square project. So to do that, I'm going to click on the blue plus icon here. And I'm going to choose square. And it's going to open up a new project for me. Okay. Now, I'm just going to be able to drag mine up from my downloads folder at the bottom of the screen. Maybe you'll need to click on media, photos, and upload from your device. But usually, if you can get your downloads folder open, you'll be able to just drag your designs straight onto your canvas. Okay, so I'm just going to do that now. Here we go. And there it is. Okay, cool. So that is going to be my page background. So I may as well set it as my page background. And that looks wonderful. Right. That's ready to go. Let's jump back over to drawing, and we're going to work now on our sun. So the sun is going to be low in the sky here. Okay. So let's save this first of all as animated seascape. Animated seascape. Cool. So I'm going to click on the Express icon. That's going to take me back to the Express dashboard. And in here, I'm going to go back to drawing. So I'm going to create from scratch again, drawing. So this time I want to get my sun. Okay. So for the sun, I'm straight away going to go back to the French Impressionist brush. I love this. I think it's maybe my favorite brush in this whole little mini app. And I'm going to choose this lightest yellow, this yellow shade that we've used for the sky. But obviously we want it to be different because otherwise it'll totally blend into the sky. So let's pick that as a starting point, but then I'm going to go to custom, and then I'm going to come across the top left here. And now I've got a lighter shade of that yellow. It's kind of like a buttermilk kind of shade there. Okay. Again, I'll kind of go halfway with the brush size, and let's try and get a tidy-ish circle, a neat-ish circle. Now, it doesn't need to be too neat, okay? Because as you can see, the style of this animation is this kind of hand-painted thing. Right, I've got my outline, so now I'm just going to whack the brush up and fill it in. There we go. That looks great. Okay. Maybe let's go for a white paint. Oh, we've got white there anyway. And let's add a bit of that spatter. And let's just throw a bit of that across. Cool. And maybe a tiny bit of orange as well. Yeah. Cool. I really like that. Okay. Let's download that and get it into our main project. So this, let's save it first. This is sun. Now, you are going to have a bunch of files in your files because all of these drawings are separate files. But, you know, if you want to make an omelette, you got to crack some eggs. So we're going to make a bit of a mess. Maybe you'll want to go through your files after this project's done, and maybe you'll want to delete stuff, put them in folders, perhaps. Something we can look at doing. Right, so now we want to go back to the animation project. Now, usually it pops up at the bottom. There we go. You see, but sometimes it doesn't. It's a bit funny like that. Now, also, watch out. You might end up opening up your drawing again. Now, it'll actually give you if you hover over it, you see on Chrome, it's actually popping up some text at the bottom of the screen there saying, so that's drawing. And that's my project. Okay, so let's open that up. And let's get our sun in here. So I'm just going to go to my downloads folder and I'm just going to drag that in. And you can see what's cool about the drawing app is that when you download, it actually downloads it with a transparent background automatically. Okay, there's my sun. And I am happy with that. Lovely. Right. Now then, Let's get some waves. Okay, let's get some waves. So let's go back. We're going to keep on drawing. So back we go. Into the drawing app again, create from scratch. Okay, now then, let's grab our light blue here and let's mix it a bit lighter. No point having the same shade because it'll just blend in. Okay, and let's go into our art supplies, French Impressionist. I'm not going to go with a massive brush this time. Okay, I'm just going to go with, and what I'm doing is I'm just making some kind of wave shapes, really. Okay, you don't want it to be too patterned, too obvious, just kind of adding texture. Great, let's go for a light gray. Custom, let's mix that in. Great, now then this time I'm gonna swap to my watercolor fill brush. There we go. That's a bit more wispy, you can see. Great. And now I'm going to do exactly the same with my white paint. Now, because this is a white background, you're not actually going to see this. So we're just going to have to paint and trust that there's white specks and flecks and misty strokes going across the place because we can't actually see. And as far as I'm aware, we can't change the background color of the project. So there we are. There's a lot of white stuff on there. We'll just have to trust that it's there. Okay, now let's go over to our spatter brush. There we go. And let's make the spatter big. And I'm still on my white brush, so I'm just going to spatter across. There we go. Just spattering. I can't see any of it. Let's go to a light gray. Custom, light gray. There we go. Now I should be able to see this. Yeah, there we are. Okay, we can see the light grey spatter there. And let's go for our actual original blue. There we go. And then if you remember, we mixed a darker shade of this blue down at the bottom. So let's do something similar. Let's come down here. There we go. And let's just spatter across the bottom quite heavily there. There we go. I don't think we need to do much more than that because we don't want to hide the sea that we've painted. We want this to just kind of animate in front of it. So let's download this. So this is sea texture. Sea texture. Let's download it. Where's my mouse pointer? There it is. Download. Downloading. And let's jump back over to our main project and let's get this in. All right, so let's wait for it to pop up at the bottom. Where are you? It can be a bit slow. There it is. Okay, it can be a bit slow. So you could always just go into the your stuff or my stuff on the left-hand side if it's not popping up at the bottom of the screen. Okay, right, let's get this texture in. So I'm just going to drag it in. There we go. There it is. Cool. Now, I'm going to need maybe 3 of these to fill up my sea. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that there, and then I'm going to duplicate it. Pop this one across to there. And duplicate this. Pop that right over to the right-hand side. All right. Now then, now that we've got the sea, let's get some reflection from the sun in the water. So let's duplicate our sun. So I'm going to click on the duplicate button there, and I'm going to bring it down there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the opacity of the reflection. You can see it's popped it behind the sea texture, and that's exactly what I want. I want that to be behind, so the waves are in front of it. And I'm also going to blur that reflection a bit. So I'm going to go into Effects. No, I always click on the wrong button. It's not Effects, guys. It's Adjustments. Okay? And then let's bring up the blur. Maybe the opacity needs to come back up a bit. Something like that. Down a bit. Yeah, that's looking great. Now, if you feel that your sea texture is a bit too much, like maybe mine is a bit too much, you could just drop the opacity on these a bit as well. You know? Because we did add a lot of texture in to our original sea on the background image. So there we go. Right. Let's animate a little bit. Let's get animating. Start off with the sun. Just click on your sun. Let's add an animation. And we're not going to have an in and out. We're just going to have a looping animation. And let's try spin. That's a bit too much, isn't it? Let's try jitter or wiggle. Yeah, wiggle, I think. Now, that effect as it is too much. So I'm going to bring the speed down, and I'm going to bring the intensity down as well. Yeah, there we go. Now, by doing that, it's actually giving us a timeline now at the bottom of the screen, and it's automatically giving us a 5-second animation. So I want my animation to be about 10 seconds long, so I'm just going to drag out the end of this till I hit 10. There we go, that's 10 seconds. Right, let's press play, and let's see if I'm happy with that sun animation. Where is my mouse pointer? There it is. Okay, I'm losing it a lot today. Yeah, I quite like that. Maybe I'll go for faster, but for the intensity to be much smaller. Let's try that. Yeah. There we are. So mess around, find that kind of sweet spot for your animation. There we are. I see. I don't want it to move too much, just a bit like that. Because the sun is moving. It's kind of, it's the haze off the sea that we're seeing kind of making the sun look as if the light is dancing. Now we're going to do the same with the reflection. Okay, I suppose we could have done this before we added the, second sun. Okay, but maybe you want something different on this one. So it was looping, and I went for wiggle. And let's bring that down, down, down. Yeah, no, because this is blurred, I think maybe I can have more intensity on this one. Let's click play and see. Yeah, that's great. Really subtle. Love it. Right, let's get the sea moving. Now then, let's click on one of your sea texture layers. And let's grab animation, looping, and we're going to go for Bob. Okay, and you can see it's this one on the right-hand side. I'm going to need to bring the intensity down a bit. Down a lot. There we go. That looks great. Now then, you wouldn't want this to be exactly the same on all three. Okay, I'm going to use the Bob animation, but you want the speed and the intensity to be different on all three of these sea textures. You don't want them moving together in unison. Yeah, there we are. Okay, and then my final one. Animation, looping, Bob. bring the speed down, bring the intensity down. Okay, let's watch all three of those together. So we've got the sun. Yeah, and those, and the water splashing, and they all kind of move separately. That looks really cool. I think that middle sea texture is too high because you see these waves kind of fly up above the sun a little bit too much. So let's pick the middle one, and let's just drag that down a bit. There we go. Maybe that opacity needs to come down as well. Let's try it again. That looks fantastic. I'm really pleased with that. Okay. I think we need a boat out at sea. What do you think, guys? So let's jump back over. Let's click on the Express icon. And we're going to go for another drawing, create from scratch. And for this, we're going to need a different brush because that French Impressionist brush is a little bit messy. It's difficult. So let's go for dirty brush. I quite like this. It's kind of got a bit of spatter around the edges, but it's not too crazy. Right, so I'm going to go for a black brush. I'm just going to make a really simple boat. And when I say really simple, I mean really simple. Okay. Once you've done the outline, I'm going to get the brush size up and fill in. I start in the middle like that, so I know roughly how much of a mess this brush is making, how big it is. Then I'll cut in. Okay, so we're cutting in from our initial outline. There we go, just cutting in. Doesn't matter if a bit of it kind of hangs over the side, it still looks cool. Oh, that was too much. Undo, undo again. There we go. Now I'll just fill in this middle bit. And now let's get the brush size down so I can tidy up this corner. There we go. Cool. Let's get the brush size right down and let's make some kind of mast. Good. I'm going to try and go back over that with a steady hand. Just to fill it in. Good. And now I'm going to make some kind of sail. There we go. And let's get the ropes. Oh, bit bigger then. Lovely. And let's color that in. So let's go a bit bigger. There we go. Just filling in. And then let's get the brush size down. And let's cut in from the outline. So this is a silhouette, okay? That's why everything's black. It's because the sun is behind the boat. So it's in shadow, which makes it much easier for us to paint it. Right, let's swap brushes. Let's go over to the old faithful French Impressionist. And then go back to my blue that I use for the sea. And keep it on a small brush because I want to get this edge here. Okay. And I'm just going to keep going over that. So I really want to hide the bottom of the boat. Okay. Let's go a bit thicker. And let's just color that in. There we go. Just getting rid of the bottom of that boat. Great. And let's go right up and let's just add a bit of texture around here. Okay, don't color it in too much. That's fine. And now let's go back to our spatter. And let's just spatter some water splashing about here. There we go. And let's swap over to our white paint. And let's have some white spattering about as well. There we go. This is just going to help this particular design blend in better with everything else that's going on. Okay, now let's bring the spatter brush right down, and I'm going to use it to put some white water breaking around the front of the boat, like that. Okay, so kind of those white horses that you see at the tops of waves. We're just going to have that right around the tops of the water. And I may even go for the French Impressionist brush, nice and small, with the white paint. Just, there we go. Just to make that white splash at the front even more obvious. Maybe at the back too. Cool. That looks great. Let's download that and let's get it into our project. So I'm going to hit download. No, I'm not. I'm going to name it. Okay, boat. Now I'm going to download it. Download. And let's click on the Express icon. Take me back. Okay, let's get that project open. It's so slow at the bottom today, so I'm going to click on your stuff. So if you can't see your projects opening up at the bottom, just click on your stuff on the left-hand side. And here's my project that I'm working on here, Animated Seascape. And let's get my boat in. All right. So let's drag it in from my downloads. Look at that. So let's get it into place. I want it just peeping in from the side of the canvas, from the edge of the canvas. Something like that. That looks great. Now, I want this, I think, behind my sea texture. I think. See. Yeah, let's try it. I think that's going to work best. Right. Let's click play and see how this looks. Yeah, that looks great. But now, obviously, we need the boat itself to be animated. So click on the boat in your layer stack. Go over to animation, looping, bob. Now, I'm going to bring that intensity down to something like 2. Yeah, and the speed as well. Down. That's cool. I'm also going to animate my boat in. This is going to be the only part of the animation that animates in. And I'm going to go for drop. Now, it's not going to drop from the sky, but when you choose drop, you can actually choose for it to drop to the right. So if I click on that, see, it's going to drop in. Now, that's too fast, so I want it to happen slower. So just make the duration of that drop in animation longer. And I'm also going to go for a nice smooth. That looks great. Okay, let's click play and see where we're at. That looks fantastic. I'm really happy with that. Okay, right, guys. We are going to leave it there, okay, just because we're running out of time. But, you know, this is something you can go to town with. If I had more time now, I would definitely paint a kind of silhouette of a seagull and have it flying across. Maybe you want to get the sun look as if it's shining more, so maybe you want to duplicate the sun again, turn the brightness up so that it's whiter, keep it blurred, and then add maybe the breathing animation to it so that it kind of grows and shrinks a bit, you know, and looks like the sun is shining. So, you know, go for it at this, guys. This has just been a starting point. I'd love to see where you take this. and where you can get with it. Okay, right. What about sharing? Now, sharing this, the best thing I think is to download this as a video file. So click download, and I'm going to go with a 720 video file. That's absolutely fine. MP4 is the only option here for a video file, and I'm going to click download. Now, you could also convert that to a GIF if you wanted to share it easier. If you want to know how to convert to GIF, we've done that on one of our previous sessions. It's the text cutout video. So you can do that really easily with Adobe Express. Just upload your video file and it'll turn it into a GIF for you. Okay, and GIF will work quite nicely with this because it's got a limited amount of colors. So converting it to a GIF isn't going to ruin all of your hard work. Okay, I hope you've had fun on this session. I have loved playing around with Adobe Express to create this animated seascape. I hope you have too. Okay, I'll see you on the next session where we'll be learning some more fun stuff using Adobe tools. Until then, bye for now. Hwyl fawr. Diolch yn fawr.